So for today's lesson, we're still busy with genes. Oh, hang on. It's not these genes, is it? It's actually these genes, the ones that's found on the chromosomes. Do you remember this diagram called a karyotype? Well, all the monohybrid crosses we did so far was on traits found on the gene somewhere between chromosome pair number 1 and 22. Those chromosomes are called autosomes. Well, in this video, we're going to look at two specific diseases that are found on genes carried on the gonosomes. Remember the gonosomes, the two chromosomes that determine gender, which is going to be two X's in a female or an XY in a male? Well, it's particularly important in these two diseases that we know that males have only one X while females have two X's, because both these diseases are actually found just on the X chromosome. Okay. If we think back on fertilization when we did the sexual reproduction chapter, and then we draw a Punnett square, we can understand how sex determination occurs when a baby is formed. Men have one X chromosome and one Y chromosome in their genome, and then during spermatogenesis cells divide, and the result is that 50% of the sperm formed will carry an X chromosome while the other 50% will carry a Y chromosome. Woman, however, has two X chromosomes in their genome, no Y chromosomes. So during oogenesis, all the ova that are formed will only have X chromosomes. So the gender of the child is determined by which sperm will fertilize the ovum. The father is actually solely responsible for the sex of the baby, in other words. If an X chromosome in a sperm fertilizes an X in the ovum, the result is a little girl, while the Y chromosome inside a sperm will fertilize an egg to form a boy. So let's look at the first sex-linked inherited disease. It's called red-green color blindness. Red-green color blindness does not mean that you see everything in black and white. It just means that people with red-green color blindness cannot distinguish between the colors of red and green. The person that is red-green colorblind, in other words, will not be able to see the page 5 in the green dots spread inside the red dots. The other sex-linked inherited disease that we are studying is hemophilia. This is a condition where a person suffers from spontaneous bleeding. So the clotting agents that's supposed to make your blood form a scab easily is not there. Hemophilia is also sometimes referred to as the royal disease because it was very common amongst the royal family in the Middle Ages. And this is because of interbreeding of people that are closely related family members. You'll see a little bit later in the video when we start doing an exercise. So let's look at how to draw Punnett squares for sex-linked disorders. So both hemophilia and red-green color blindness is caused by a recessive gene found on the X chromosome. In other words, the right-hand side, the blue little thingy you see there, is an X chromosome with a gene for normal site. The one on the left-hand side, however, shows an X chromosome with a little yellow end that shows the recessive gene that is defective, that causes color blindness. So using these diagrams, you can see what each type of person would look like with these genes. So this male is colorblind because his X chromosome has the recessive gene on for color blindness. The next diagram shows a normal male. His X chromosome does not have the defective gene on. Then we have a normal female, and you'll see that she's got two X chromosomes and neither of them have the gene on for color blindness or for hemophilia. However, when we get to this one, we see although the female's got two X chromosomes, the one is healthy, but the other one is colorblind. That means she's a carrier. The only way a female can have the disease or can be colorblind is when both her X chromosomes have the recessive gene on. So when we draw a Punnett square to show these genes, we actually have to put in the blockies first, the X's and the Y's, showing where the females and where the males are. Once we've done that, we attach either a capital H or a small h to the X's. For an X chromosome that has the normal gene on, you'll put the capital H. But when it's an X chromosome that carries the recessive genetic disease, you'll put a little h. Okay, so now let's look at how we apply this. Let's look at some application. If you have a look at the Inheritance Explained document, at the end of it, you'll find question 1. So I'd like you to attempt to do question 1 on your own. And then once you're done with it, just request the memo from me.